These are screenshots from a music video from Tool called 46 and 2 that is no longer available. You'll see linked into the description of this video that I'll include in the description of this video is the original that I took it from, which is no longer available because the account with it has been terminated. Also, I will be including a couple of videos that I made a couple of years ago called Maynard Was a Mormon. Maynard, as in the lead singer of the band Tool. I'm going to pause this because it goes back and forth between these screenshots, and I didn't let them go long enough to read. So the shadow is an unconscious complex that is defined as the repressed and suppressed aspects of the conscious self. There are constructive and destructive types of shadow. Carl Jung emphasized the importance of being aware of shadow material and incorporating it into the conscious awareness, lest one project these attributes onto others. The human being deals with the reality of the shadow in 4 ways: denial, projection, integration, and transmutation. This is where it gets real good. There are 3 totally different kinds of humans on the earth, meaning that they perceive the one reality in 3 different ways, interpreted differently. The first kind of human has a chromosome composition of 42 and 2. They comprise of a unity consciousness that does not see anything outside of themselves as being separate from themselves. To them, there is only one energy, one life, one beingness that moves everywhere. Anything happening anywhere is within them as well. They are like cells in the body. They are all connected to a single consciousness that moves through all of them, like a hive mind that we're getting rid of here. These are the Aboriginals of Australia. There might be a few African tribes left like this. Then there is our level, comprising 44 and 2 chromosomes. We are a disharmonic level of consciousness that is used as a stepping stone from the 42 and 2 level to the next of 46 and 2. These 2 additional chromosomes change everything. That quote is by Druvlo Melchizedek. And these are images by Alex Gray. I think that one's titled New Family, the first one that we saw. And I'll just link this in the description and you can watch these later, because they're really, really cool paintings. Greg Braden first introduced me to the art by Alex Gray. Now I remember John X. Army tapped into a little bit of Druvlo Melchizedek, mentioned his name once or twice when John was having his experience. I don't know what ever happened to him. But the only way that guy gets away with saying stuff like that, and there might be a reason they removed the account that produced that music video, that gives you the understanding of the meaning of the song 46 and 2, just ahead of me. Because it's politically incorrect to say such things. But maybe like Matt says, all men are created equal? Maybe we should question that. So some of the things that I'm going to talk about are confirmation of all the stuff I said yesterday on that 4-part series. And linked in the description will be 2 videos, and I don't even know what they said on them. I know I titled them Maynard Was a Mormon, Part 1 and 2, and there's even a prequel. But my point is, the parallels with the Mormon ideology and my spiritual awakening go back to the very beginning. So that idea that I said, if I was a Mormon, you'd say I'm just engaging in an act of self-promotion by advocating for them. And the fact that I'm not, many people may say, well, you're just trying to get in good with them because stuff's about to go sideways and you want them to take you in and you want, some community or whatever. I'm into truth, not tribe, but we all need tribe. So one of the lyrics in the song Pneuma by Tool, which is from the new album Fear Inoculum. By the way, there's a song in that same album, Fear Inoculum, called Culling Voices. And the main chorus talks about psychopathy. And this is the consciousness farm we're on, and this is the distillation process that we're going through, which is a good thing. We need to get rid of a lot of this consciousness, or at least separate it all up into different petri dishes so people are in like-minded groups. That way consciousness can thrive, because the point that it's gotten to now, it's like black belts and white belts are all in the same petri dish, and we need to separate them up, and the white belts will be much happier with the white belts and the black belts with the black belts, because as it is now, a white belt sparring with a black belt, neither of them gain anything. The white belt feels incompetent and inferior, and it cannot compete and grow and develop. Likewise with the black belt when he's sparring with a white belt. The lyric in the song Pneuma from the Tool album Fear Inoculum says, we are all one spark, one breath, one sun. One spark, one breath, one spark, sun becoming. And that's a chorus. That's almost a chorus that repeats 3 or 4 times. A sun becoming. As in the Celestializer Master 2000 I was talking about. That the earth will be celestialized and become a sun and give off light. There's also a song that the Mormon children sing in the primary school talking about Jesus wants me for a sunbeam, a sunbeam. What does that mean? Jesus wants me for a sunbeam. All these things that I didn't figure out all these things and put them all together. I was given a lot of help through the Spirit. But like I said yesterday, I've still not spoken with anyone from the Mormon Church to confirm or deny or validate or discredit many of the notions and concepts that I've come across and put together to compile my understanding and my awareness that I now have. But one main difference between Mormonism and mainline Christianity is that the Mormons believe that the bite of the apple in the Garden of Eden was a gift and a blessing, not a curse and the downfall of man. So that pretty much confirms, if that's true, maybe I heard something on the internet that's just not true. Internet rumors. But if that's true, then it seems to validate and confirm much of the concepts that I have acquired and expressed through my learning process. So I'm going to just freehand it from here. Oh, yeah, let's just go over a couple more notes that I've got written to myself here. Ex-Ambassadors, the song Renegades. AWOL Nation, the song Jailbreak. And by the way, I didn't come across Imagine Dragons until very recently, who are Mormons, and almost every one of their music videos, including the lyrics, but almost every one of them, the videography includes the water references, and we're going to get to that. So, Ex-Ambassadors, the song that says, all hail the outlaws, Spielbergs and Kubricks. Maybe the ex-ambassadors, like Spielbergs and Kubricks, includes the Faucis and the Gates of the world today, and they were the truthers of the last reset, before the last reset. They are the ex-ambassadors. And I've spoken of my own ambassadorship. And the song Jailbreak by AWOL Nation, the same group that sings the song Sail, which was a big mover for me. They also sing the song Jailbreak. So a jailbreak by a song called AWOL Nation. AWOL is in the military, where you're pretty much in jail, absent without leave. That's what it stands for. And if you leave without getting permission, then you're AWOL. AWOL Nation singing about a jailbreak. I've been working on a jailbreak. Ex-ambassadors singing about renegades, Spielbergs and Kubricks. Maybe the ex-ambassadors, like I said, were the truthers from the previous reset, and like James True says, I believe more now than ever that you're all Freemasons. Yeah, you're all Freemasons. Unless you don't want to be, unless you want to be a slave. If you don't want your freedom, I'll take it. So in the Mormon religion, I kind of quit going when this lady stood up there during the whole beginning of the pandemic, and I'm the only one in the whole church without a mask, and this lady gets up there and says, "We are much happier when we're obedient to the requests of our leaders." For people who don't want to be their own master, I'm the one at the sail, I'm the master of my sea. Oh, woo. That's from the song by Imagine Dragons. I want to say pain, but it's not pain. Break me down, build me back up. No. Damn it. And I can't pause it right now because I've turned the camera around so it's not on portrait so I can film that first part. Believer. That's from the song Believer. I'm the one at the sail. I'm the master of my sea. If you don't want your freedom, I'll take it. And for some people of a certain level of consciousness, they are happier just doing whatever they're told. Like an employee who doesn't want to be the business owner, just wants to do what he's told and he's happier that way, just go home and come back and do whatever he's told again the next day. But even within that Mormon religion, there is a consciousness filtration happening. Like I said, a lot of them go through the motions and never discover the deeper meanings and truths within that religion. Like Kolob Elohim, the law of eternal progression, and that they think the bite of the apple was a gift and a blessing, not the downfall of man. And if that's true, that the serpent in the garden wasn't the bad guy, then it gives much credence and credibility to the understanding that I've received. So I'm going to cut to this part where I got a double shout out yesterday. One was a backhanded slap across the face shout out, and the other one by Carol at Never Lose Truth. She made a video titled Kansas, Nebraska, all the initials, Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, Wisconsin, South Dakota, North Dakota, extreme weather, wildfires, plasma, and dew. Check out Jeff Snyder 2 videos. That was the name of her video that she made. And in that video, she goes over the plasma fires. And she references me 4 or 5 times and says, you ought to check out his videos. He'd probably have something to say about this. And he'd probably have something to say about this as she's going through, showing what she can see and how none of this is normal. The only place her and I might disagree, and my comment in her comment section was, thank you for your work. In a time of universal deceit, speaking the truth is a revolutionary act. All credit goes to the woman in the arena. And though I've asked for people not to mirror my content, make it your own, show and tell and teach about plasma fires, don't send new people to my channel, because I don't like answering the same questions I've answered a bunch of times over the last 3 years. I ain't mad at her. She's doing what she can with what she's got, and it just makes logical sense when this guy's got more understanding about what's happening all around us now to send people over to his channel. There's a reason I don't want new subscribers. It's about quality of consciousness, not quantity of minds that are being entertained or captivated or mesmerized, which might be what the other shout out I got was about. We see 33, passing by 33. I mentioned him in one of my previous videos, and he said thanks for the shout out at 33 minutes 33 seconds. And I checked, and sure enough, that is when I happened to cut to his video right at the end. And when commenting on that video, he made a comment and brought to my attention that he's the 33rd comment. And I thought, well, yeah, that could be coincidence, though, or maybe even timed it like that because you got some affinity with this number 33. And then later on, when he said, thanks for the shout out, right at 33 minutes, 33 seconds, that's no coincidence. I looked, I was like, wow! Bizarre. I didn't mean to plug him at 33 minutes, 33 seconds. I don't know what the meaning of this number 33 is. But when someone asked him in one of his videos, what does it mean to you? Why is it part of your screen name? The answer he gave them was, wobble your head back and forth and tell me what world you live in. Someone else came and said, why when someone asks you a direct question, you give them such a shitty answer? And he responded, I was trying to get them to think. And then finally got around to the idea that we have 33 vertebrae and the world you live in is right on top of that 33rd vertebrae. Okay, why didn't you just say that? He chastises people that speak in riddles, like New Age bullshit. And then he speaks in riddles, like New Age bullshit. So, I'll link in the description his video titled Kundalini Divine Feminine. At 24 minutes 30 seconds, he's telling people, you're going to find the answers within, not out there somewhere and not searching on YouTube. So, don't waste your time watching the latest video of Jeff Snyder. Fucking take all that shit in and take ages. He doesn't say that I'm wrong or denigrate the content or have any objection to the material. And I would prefer to think he was using some reverse psychology, and that was my comment, is nice touch, inducing the Streisand effect. Don't go touch that hot stove over there now. What's the first thing they're going to do? Like Briar Rabbit said, oh, please, please, whatever you do, don't throw me in that briar patch. Reverse psychology, or the dude's got some issues. Because a lot of the stuff he says is just riddles, and a salesman sells the sizzle. I got to turn this swamp cooler off. They sell the sizzle, not the steak. The aroma, the whiff of something knowledgeable and important. Without giving you the actual context and the underlying substance, they just imply and suggest and hint toward these great understandings without actually giving you the meat and potatoes. I don't like that shit. He says that in his next video, he's going to tell you about maritime law. You've all heard of this maritime law, admiralty law, and it's what I thought maybe Vanessa had tapped into when she's showing that there's this water reference all throughout the music. And a lot of people have noticed this, like in our institutions of banking. The bank of the river holds the currency of the flow in the middle. The bank holds the cash flow, and either your assets are liquidated or frozen or you're underwater on your loan. There's all of these water references. And people go down this endless rabbit hole that seems to lead nowhere until they get to the point where they say, like, I'm a sovereign citizen and I don't need a driver's license because I'm not driving. That's only necessary for commercial application. I'm just traveling. And if you see the gold fringe around the flag in a federal courtroom, that indicates they're still under maritime law from the British Empire when we sailed over here. And if you know these special magic words, you get to operate under a separate set of laws. And people go down this endless rabbit hole. And I think whatever it is at the bottom of that rabbit hole has a fundamental substance that is related to all of these water references in the music. Vanessa calls it the retrocausal language that embeds all these messages within the music, like something happened in the future that rippled back to the past to embed all these messages in the music to prepare us for what's happening in the future. But if it's all one loop, then there really is no future. I call it muse messages. And this guy, Passing by 33, is only the third person I've ever come across who seems to have latched onto these deeper meanings and messages embedded within the music in a meaningful way. There's a bunch of people out there like Call for an Uprising who's like, oh, look, Lady Gaga with her satanic Luciferian, the lightning bolt and the pyramid. But for them, the only message or meaningful substance they get out of it is satanic Luciferian, satanic Luciferian. Passing by 33, he's the third guy that I have ever seen who has any other concept about the embedded meaning and messages within this music. So I might give him a pass, but that's 2 strikes. Macaroni Pictures started out a video once saying, truth isn't going to be found out there or on YouTube. It's a decision you make, a choice you make within. And once you decide to align yourself with truth, you suddenly see it all over. Truths that were right in front of your face that you just didn't see for your whole life. You blinded yourself from them. And a lot of them are truths that hurt, that you'd rather not face, the uncomfortable truths. And Macaroni Pictures is like, so having said that, there's no more reason for you to even watch the rest of this video. You can go ahead and shut it off now. He said something to the same effect. Truth ain't going to be found out there. Watching more YouTube videos. Watching the next video by Jeff Snyder. It's one thing to say in general, you're not going to find truth by looking out there at more videos on YouTube, but then to single out one guy. Either he intentionally is trying to lead people to my page through some sort of reverse psychology wizardry, which is a strike against him. Or he's got some sort of existential envy. But one thing I notice is he tries to talk like Yoda. And he says, no, I don't want to sound all sagey. But then he uses all these coded words. Without actually saying explicitly and directly, he implies and suggests. It's like a Rorschach test. An ink blot, and you see whatever you want to see. You hear whatever you want to hear. He doesn't explicitly say anything. Oftentimes. So I'm going to give him a pass on that and watch him for another minute. And hope that when he says he's going to show you how to sign your name, he says my next video is going to be on maritime law and I'm going to show you how to sign your name. Like there's this special magic way to sign your name. I hope he doesn't just go down that rabbit hole of the gold fringe around the flag, that you don't need a driver's license or a license plate on your car if you're just traveling. Even Donnie Daytona said he had an uncle that was a Mason that told him you should probably join a lodge and life will be a lot easier on you. And they got pulled over one time and his uncle told the officer something about blah, blah, blah. So, fellow traveler, I'm just going to be on my way now. You have a good day. And the cop said, okay. And they were on their way. And Donnie says, I watched my uncle work this guy like he wasn't nothing with the special magic words. I'm hoping that Passing by 33 will give us a greater meaning of the underlying substance within this maritime law as it relates to the metaphysical nature of our reality and how it relates to all these water references within the song. So far, cerebral spinal fluid is the water being referred to, and it's the water element of the Kundalini experience. That's the closest thing I've come to an understanding of why all these water references everywhere. My most recent video, Sarah McLachlan, World on Fire. I'll tap into the water again and again and again. Imagine Dragons, almost all of their videos have the water reference and sailing. One I'm going to link in the description is called, well, there's Roots. Starts out underwater like in a bathtub. But the other one that I watched recently, I forget the name. But it's truly all about the water. Like he gets sucked into a downstream of water and ends up in another world. The one called Whatever It Takes. They're underwater with the mermaids. So I'm going to give him a pass and see if maybe he's actually got some substance underlying that. But that's 2 strikes. Speaking of underlying substance, Jamie Lee of A Plain Truth in his most recent video that I linked in my last videos, talking about the Mormon Mason battalions that got to California in 1847, 2 years before, the 49ers, the San Francisco 49ers, named after the gold rush that happened in 49. And Jamie Lee's talking about how in 1947, the Mormon battalions were already there and had their own mint. They were minting coins out of gold. They're the 47ers. 49ers got there a couple of years late. And he says, Jamie Lee says, the angel Moroni, he's a demon. Moron-y. Get it? Moron-y? Moroni, moron. If that's the underlying substance to substantiate the claim that this angel Moroni is a demon, maybe you're projecting. And I don't like the term projecting. It's a adult version of I'm rubber, you're glue, whatever you say bounces off me and sticks to you. People use it as a blanket statement anytime someone says something they don't like the sound of. You're projecting. Maybe you're projecting your own attributes. That's one of the things that said at the beginning of this video. One of the 4 ways people deal with the shadow. One of them is projecting those attributes of themselves onto others. So who's the moron here? If the underlying substance of your argument when you claim the angel is a demon is because it says moron right in his name, I'm glad. Round all those people up that are of that level of consciousness and take them with you. In the Moroni, moron, yeah. Like the cartoon South Park, the one about the Mormons, dum 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 dum, and they go around and they show you how Joseph Smith looked in the hat with the Urim Thummim to read the plates, dum 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 dum, yeah, dum 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 dum. It takes very little consciousness to actually elevate your own consciousness. It takes very little consciousness to point out the dumb guy, dumb, to make yourself feel smart. Moron. Instead of being a good person and growing and developing your own candle, it takes much less to blow out someone else's candle to make yours feel like it glows brighter. Point out the bad guy, and by virtue of contrast and comparison, that makes me the good guy. Point out the dumb, dumb, that makes me smart. Moroni. Moron, yeah, demon. Take those people that resonate with that level of consciousness, and I'm glad that, we're just all, dumb, worshiping some guy that looked in a hat, and we're all just off our rocker. That's good. That's good. For those that don't want the truth, they want to take the easy way out and point at the dumb guy or point at the evil guy instead of discovering truth, educating themselves, raising their own consciousness, establishing their own personally relevant, personally meaningful set of priorities, principles, and standards, and making themselves a better person. It's just easier to point out the bad guy. This is the consciousness farm filtration, and there's a reason that 90% of them got to go. Even some of those that want to, we're all happier when we're obedient to the requests of our leaders. Round them up and put them in a consciousness farm, in a petri dish, with people that are like themselves, that resonate with that level of consciousness. And to that degree, I'm going to just get it off my chest. We got this guy from Passing By 33, calls himself Monk Farmer, comes over in my comment section. Oh yeah, that guy's way ahead of you. I'm glad to see you're catching up. The other comment he just left was, you need to meditate. That's the level of consciousness that people say when they say you need to pray. You need Jesus. No different, you need to meditate. It's an imperative, and it comes with an implied ultimatum. Or else. You need to, or else what? It's not a suggestion, it's an imperative. You need to, or else. There's an implied ultimatum, an implied consequence, and if you don't, that's why you need to. So if that's the level of consciousness that's being cultivated over there in that comment section, The other reason I even mention it is because this guy, Passing by 33, he's the third person I've found who can see deeper meaning within the music beyond satanic Luciferian. The third person in the world I've found. First, me and Vanessa. She calls it retrocausal language. I call them muse messages because we both had to make up our own words to describe what it is we're interpreting and discovering. Here's number 3 over here. And this guy tells me he's way ahead. I don't give a shit who's ahead or behind. If he's number 3 in the world on the path, there is no ahead or behind. You're either on the path or you're not. And if he's number 3 that I've found in the whole world, this guy telling me he's way ahead must be the authority on the subject matter, like a referee who can tell who's ahead and behind. When this guy's the third guy I've ever found that can see that there's meaning in the music besides satanic Luciferian. Maybe you need to check yourself, monk farmer. Or make a list of all the other things I need to do and let me know. Because this guy said I need to pray. And he said meditation's evil. But you say I need to meditate and I'm not sure who to listen to. Cutting to that. When I first discovered spirituality, this is going to tie in with Carol of Carol of Never Lose Truth. The very first of her videos, she said, this is not natural, and she does show on the Doppler radar, there's all these identical energy spots that don't look natural. They look like they are being artificially induced. But the first word she says is, this isn't God and this isn't Mother Nature. This is man-made. When I first discovered spirituality, there's a music, I'll include the album, the whole 45-minute album by Enigma, called Viva la Roy es muerte, something to that effect. It's not in English. But the music is in English, and at the very beginning of that album, there's a lyric that says, feel the wah. No, it says, the wah in ma. Feel the wah. The hell does that mean? Well, I had just discovered spirituality, and I wasn't going to follow anyone else's concept of what this thing is that I'm starting to discover and see synchronicities and coincidences around me when I'm 19 years old. First, I started praying to the power of good, because I wasn't going to pray to God. There was already a preconceived idea and meaning imposed upon that word. And what I'm experiencing here is my own experience, and I'm not going to follow someone else's lead and filter my experience through their interpretation and their wording and their ideas. So I thought, I'm going to pray to the power of good. That's a good thing to pray to. And I realized there's already so much meaning and definition on the word good. Got to come up with something other people can't define for me. And so when I heard that, the wah in ma, feel the wah, I asked my girlfriend, I'm like, you hear that lyric? Do you know what it means? You know what it's talking about? The God in life. Feel the God. The wah in ma. Feel the wah. So I started praying to wah. Because I got to define that. No one else. And I thought, can God put messages in? Can God speak to me through a CD that's man-made? And if God made the human and the human made the CD, then God kind of made the CD through the human. And I came to the understanding that, yeah, I guess that could happen. And I'm 19, right? I'm just barely coming out of my wannabe thug, listening to gangster rap. And it was my first taste of synchronicity and coincidence happening around me that shows me, whoa, there is something more than meets the eye here in this world around us. And so I wasn't going to pray to God or Jesus. Whatever this was, it was directly interacting with me. And so I needed my own way to define it. Just like I call it muse messages, Vanessa calls them retrocausal language. That's our own definition of our own experience. This guy's number 3. I'm wondering if he has his own word definition of these embedded messages within the music. And so I started praying to Wah. And during that period, I came to an understanding or an idea that man-made things are actually made by God, because God made the human that made the man-made thing. And God works through humans. See, my other friend said she doesn't think God uses technology. Paradise for the Hellbound, author of Paradise for the Hellbound is the name of her book. She's the one that runs jazzwe.com and created jeffsnyder2.com. And she said one time, I don't think God uses technology when I'm talking about spaceships. Humans use technology. God works through humans. Ergo, God uses technology. To say that this isn't Mother Nature or this isn't God is like God had nothing to do with this. Somehow we're outside of God's plan. If God's allowed